I would like to say something. And I haven't met you, but I have been the director of graduate studies in the school, and I know a lot about how that program works. And I would like you to step back for a minute and recognize that the program you're in now asks you to take courses outside of your unit because it is the faculty believe that in addition to some of the classes you take inside, there are really important and fascinating and wonderful things being taught at this university outside. And that will be true whether what you're studying is in the unit you're in now, or the old school, or a new college, or a new school. We would never imagine, and I think Tom expresses very well, that the only thing that you're here to do is to take classes that are specifically about here's what you need to do to be a journalist, and that you wouldn't go to faculty across campus and say, what do you have to offer me to become a better journalist? You would say, what can you teach me about the world to become the kind of person who has something to say? So I guess you might think about it a little bit differently, you know, that you would have to take classes in other units no matter where you were.
And I think an important point that Tom and Bella made is this isn't a one-way street. It's also about what the campus can learn from you as students of journalism and mass communication, and from the faculty. It's not like everyone's coming here to offer something to journalism. It is about engaging in a conversation about what both parties can bring to each other. Sir.
My name is Mike Brewer, and I'm Executive Director of the Brett Family Foundation, which is a small family foundation that funds in Colorado. And I'm here tonight representing our president, Linda Shoemaker, who wanted to be here tonight but is out of town. And she is a trustee of the CU Foundation. She served the last few months on the advisory board before it moved on. And most importantly, she's a 1969 graduate of the J School here at CU. And she began her career as a publisher editor of a newspaper in Glenwood Springs serving the Roaring Fork Valley back in the 1970s. And so she feels very, very passionately about the process, about what has happened and what will happen. And she is especially excited about the vision that Merrill Leslie and the Exploratory Committee have put together. She's encouraged by the Journalism Plus innovations already underway in the JMC department, and she hopes curriculum revisions occur sooner rather than later so that the JMC courses will flow easily into a new entity. She also believes that the undergraduate journalism curriculum needs to be more rigorous, more digitally oriented, more entrepreneurial, and more interdisciplinary. And she believes that many of these changes can be made prior to the conclusion of your work. And so she has basically three things to ask tonight. One is that you all be ambitious, that the new ICJMT entity should be one of the top journalism programs in the country, and she believes it can be because of many of the reasons you've given tonight. She believes it should anchor and support the entire campus, and suggests looking to Tom Check and BioFrontiers as a model for that. Secondly, she would like to see the faculty split. She believes that the three parts of the current JMC faculty, journalism, advertising, media studies, should be split into three different departments, and that by setting them free, unconstrained by conflicting needs, each department can succeed in a big way on its own. And thirdly, she is a big supporter of undergraduate journalism, to keep professional undergraduate journalism and advertising education at the heart of whatever the new entity will be. The digital age increases the need for for professionals who understand the ethics, standards, and responsibility that comes from crafting history for citizens. She hopes that you will continue to communicate with the public through websites, through meetings, through the various study groups that you put together. And she has great hope that there will be a lot that can be offered from people like her and people outside the faculty and outside the academy. And then finally, I brought with me some copies of a report that was just published last month by the Carnegie and Knight Foundations entitled Initiative on the Future of Journalism Education, and it takes a look at, I think, about a dozen different journalism programs around the country. And so I brought some copies with me. If anybody wants any, I've got about 8 copies, and you can get them free from the Carnegie Institute. So thank you very much. And I just want to say, as a funder, and Brett Family Foundation does fund various programs throughout the CU system, you know, I talk to funders from Knight, from McCormick, from Open Society Foundations. There's a tremendous interest on the part of funders across the country. What is happening in this field and what is happening at CU in particular, and there are a lot of eyes on this process. So I think that's actually an encouraging thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thanks, Linda, for her comments. Anybody else? You? Yeah, I think we have somebody.
I'll be very quick. I got the sense that you came here to hear more from us, and you've been bombarded with a lot of questions. So I want to support what was just said, because it tracks with my notes pretty well. Number one, rigorous. It should be tough. The school should be tough. It should be hard to get into, and it should be hard to get out of. Students can do more than you think, and they can do better work than you think, and I encourage a very high bar. Wherever you set that bar, they will clear it. I'm sure they'll clear it. But if it's down here because you've been worn down by students who didn't want to do it, that's as high as they'll go. They'll never jump higher. I'd like to see the school have a strong strain of social value. There should be an emphasis on the social value of journalism. I just by chance happened to talk to Bernard Amadei, who's a civil engineering professor here, and he runs the Mortensen Center for Engineering, and their focus is engineering in developing countries. And his program is attracting a lot of students who like that engineering can have a human face, and I think journalism can take a page out of that book as well. That there can be we can emphasize the social value of journalism, and not just what it brings to the journalists, not just what we're teaching journalists, but how that can sort of be catalyzed into social change. I think we should be more inclusive of the audience. We should be teaching journalists to be more inclusive of the audience, partly just because we can now, and the audience likes it. So I think that should also be an emphasis. Cross-disciplinary work has come up, and there was a great discussion in the journalism department last week about the Knight report, and talking about how the future of this program should be breaking down these walls, getting out of these silos, working with other departments on campus. I would like to see the program be flexible, try things, take chances. If it doesn't work, scrap it. That's how business works. It's not necessarily how academia works. But we could take a page out of that book too. Take a flyer on something if it sounds like a good idea. And if it doesn't work, just turn around and start something else. And lastly, I would like to see if we can communicate better about this process. I found out about this today from the Daily Camera around 2 p.m., the hard copy that lands on my doorstep every morning.
You've got to read your Buff Bulletins.
See, the Buff Bulletin, that's a tough sell. That's deletable. That's pretty deletable. So at least
UCOM is changing.
At least through the department, I think the journalism students and the undergrads and the grad students, maybe you could shoot them an email if it's easy enough to do that, just to let them know when this kind of thing is happening, so that we can participate. All right, that's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you.